What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the D.O.G podcast. My name is Drew. This is German. And today we have a special guest, my cousin Nick.
What's up?
What's going on, Nick? How you doing?
Pretty good.
Nice, man. Thanks for being here. It's cool. It's cool that you're here, man.
Yeah,
Finally.
Thanks for having me.
I'm outnumbered now. There's 2 United fans here.
Hell yeah.
2 United fans, I know.
But
I don't
that's
know,
okay. Even though I'm outnumbered, it's fine because you guys still have Harry Maguire on your team.
Oof.
We do, and Phil Jones. We still have a lot of those dudes there.
But there's a lot of upside right now with United, right?
That's what I was going to get into. This week, I guess it was official today, the Eric Ten Hag, the new manager.
Yeah, it's absolutely exciting. Probably the first football move that Manchester United has done in the last 10 years. Right? I mean,
good, yeah.
if it was up to Ed Woodward and the Glazers, we'd be talking about Pochettino today.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you like the signing then? It sounds like you do.
Oh, definitely. I was high on Ten Hag, saying we should get him since November.
He's got screenshots of these conversations too.
Do you really? You brought him with you and everything? just for
I
proof?
always keep the receipts.
This is true. This guy's got receipts for days.
I gotta be careful with you, man. I gotta watch out for you. No, but I like it too. I think like you said, it's the first football move that they've made in like a decade now.
Yeah, I mean, going back to when
Ronaldo wasn't a move.
Going back to when Fergie was there, dude, like, would you ever think in 2013 that we wouldn't win a title in the next 10 years? If somebody told you in 2013 we wouldn't win a title, that you wouldn't believe it.
Right.
You know, Fergie left and we had Moyes for 9 months and then Van Gaal, Mourinho, they won titles, but Ole, kind of expectations dropped.
That's I feel like that still was a weird signing. Like, I mean, for him to come in, because remember he was an interim when he came in, right. And then I guess he just, like you said, exceeded expectations, which was enough for them to say, okay, you're the official manager.
Right.
That was weird, right?
Right. And then, I mean, his signings, he was trying to build a team on counterattacking football.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of not the way, the modern game is played.
Right.
And just didn't work out. And I think it was time for him to go when he got sacked. And I think it was a great move to bring in Ralph Rangnick, knowing all his football expertise. And we haven't gotten the results that we wanted, but he has brought a lot of light to the problems that are there, the core problems.
What do you think? What do you think are some of the core problems?
It definitely starts up at the top.
Yeah.
Having Ed Woodward there for as long as he was there. He's not a football guy.
He was. Well, I remember he was like an accountant, right?
He was an investment banker. He worked for J.P. Morgan. So when the Glazers bought the club, he was brought in to help recoup their debt.
Yeah,
and he did for them. But
that's what I was going to ask you. Over the past 10 years, what do you think was the biggest downfall for United? Like, what do you think caused such a huge slope after Ferguson left?
Fergie had all the authority for signings, recruitment, all the tactics. He was the guy in charge. Once he left, it was put up to these guys that had no clue or any idea of what they were doing.
Yeah.
And you bring in somebody like Pep Guardiola, who's kind of changed football, the way that it's played. You bring in Jurgen Klopp, even now Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah.
These guys are tacticians, right?
Yeah.
And where's Manchester? Like, they don't have an identity.
Yeah.
They bring in players for commercial value.
Yeah.
Pogba, Sanchez, Falcao, Di Maria, you know what I mean? It was to sell jerseys.
Yeah, those are
Ibrahimovic.
Ibra, you know what I mean? Like, those aren't the right signings.
Yeah.
And now, hopefully, with Ragnick being a consultant, Ten Hag, what he's done with Ajax has been amazing. And then, hopefully, they're talking, rumors are Paul Mitchell will come in as head of recruitment, or he was at Tottenham. He's the one who discovered, like, Dele Alli, Sonny, Toby Alderwood, and he's done a pretty good job at AS Monaco now. So hopefully, those 3 guys could turn the tide.
So does Ten Hag get like full reign? Whatever he wants goes?
That was the next thing I was going to get into. Is just okay, yeah, we've had good managers come in. Like Mourinho was a good manager, and he's still doing good things. I mean, it didn't work out for him over at Tottenham, but then he went to Roma and started turning that club around. Do you think the front office is going to get in the way of Ten Hag once he comes in? Because remember there was the signing for two summers ago with Donny van der Beek. And when Ollie didn't want to sign him at all, and then the front office were like, "You're signing him anyway."
And that's Ed Woodward. You know, that was what he was doing. It was the fans are upset, and that's kind of what the Glazers have been known to do the last few years. Is the fans get upset? You know, they're calling for the Glazers to sell the club, and it's like, oh, let's just sign somebody so you guys could be happy.
It's like hush money.
Right? You know, here, you know, be quiet.
Yeah. Here's your toy.
So and honestly, we're talking about Donny. He's probably the one person that's excited Ten Hag got signed today.
Probably,
right?
Yeah.
Because when he was with Ajax, I mean, Donny was outstanding player.
Yeah.
So I think if Ten Hag does get more authority than what Ole did, with a combination of Ragnick, and if they bring in Paul Mitchell, I think the three of those guys together, they can definitely turn the club around.
So yeah, you like the appointment of Ten Hag, which I do too. I think that's the right appointment at the time. I mean, he doesn't come in with super high expectations because the thing is he's coming in not necessarily a Pep or a Klopp or a Tuchel. I mean, he's coming into a situation where he's got to pretty much build from the bottom up, which, I mean, he kind of did when he first got the job over at Ajax, because before that, Ajax hadn't won a title in like 4 or 5 years, something like that. Right. And then he turns it around and wins 6 in a row.
Yeah.
So if he can come in and kind of just at the very least give him an identity, he can turn things around. But is there any other manager out there that you would have said, I think he would have been good too? Like, is there anybody outside of Ten Hag?
It would have been Thomas Tuchel.
And
the situation with Chelsea, you know, not having an owner.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think if they were monitoring him and his situation, it would have definitely been that guy. Lopetegui maybe.
Oh, okay.
Definitely not Pochettino.
Not Pochettino.
I'm not a fan of Pochettino.
Why not?
And the difference.
I would have liked it.
Right. The difference between Ten Hag and Pochettino, Ten Hag obviously hit the league in the Netherlands is not a big league.
Yeah.
But his legacy, his career is not tainted, like Pochettino. He's had a Premier League experience. He's bottled it. You know, Tottenham, they didn't win anything. Even at PSG, you can see that he can't manage these big name stars.
Yeah.
You know, they're out again in the Champions League. Like, he's known as a bottle merchant.
Yeah.
Pochettino, he can't win. He's not a winner.
But do you think with, because I do agree that Pochettino, he wouldn't be the right guy. He's, like you said, he's not a winner. But the development that he did over at Tottenham, because he did essentially to do the same thing over there, which kind of bringing the guys from the bottom up, guys like Dele Alli, Kane, Song, and then there's other guys too that go into that. Do you think though that maybe the clubs have kind of handcuffed Pochettino because Tottenham, there was a couple of transfer windows where they're like, well, you're not buying anybody because we don't have the funds to do it. And over at PSG, there's other people making bigger decisions over PSG because PSG, I mean, at this point, it's not really a football club. It's like you said, it's a commercial club. It's a brand at the end of the day, right? It's just at the end of the day, it's trying to bring in as much money as possible.
If you can't win with that PSG team, then you're not a good coach.
No.
That team is so stacked, dude. They're so good across the board everywhere in every position. They have above average players.
If you look at that PSG side and the signings that they've made, the money that they've spent, it hasn't been on transfers. How many transfers did they get for free? Under Herrera,
that's true.
Messi, right? Like Icardi, right?
Yeah.
Free transfers.
Icardi was a free transfer.
There's
Ramos.
about 6 or 7 free transfers there.
The biggest one was just Neymar and Mbappe right after him.
So you look at those guys and that team and the amount of money that PSG spends, their wages are high, but they're superstar players. All the people that you named at Tottenham were the people that Paul Mitchell found.
Yeah.
And so if Manchester United could bring in Paul Mitchell as head of recruitment, we're in business. You know, they'll find these players. Now, did you know that these recruiters that just stepped away yesterday, they had 800 scouting reports on right backs, and we were left with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. That's the problem.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So, and the players also have to perform. You know what I mean. You're playing for the badge. I mean, we're gonna talk about Tuesday's game.
Yeah. That's the next question I want to get into, because when you look at that squad, there's just about I mean, you can argue that you can revamp the entire squad, and you can make an argument that every single player has got to go, right? But who are like the 4 or 5 players that you think absolutely like need to stay?
David Gea needs to stay.
Yeah. That's an easy one,
Cristiano Ronaldo, 21 goals. He has to stay.
It's interesting that you think Ronaldo needs to stay.
He's not the problem. I don't
think he's a problem, but do you think he fits what Ten Hag is trying to do?
When you have somebody who scores 21 Premier League goals, you keep him. You don't get rid of him.
Yeah.
So Ronaldo, Sancho, I think has been good.
He's had some glimpses here and there. Yeah.
Bruno can probably do better under Ten Hag because he hasn't really had coaching. He's had Ole, who's not a tactician, Mike Phelan and Michael Carrick were the ones doing all the tactics under Ole. Ralph is just an interim manager. He's tried, but if you get somebody like a tactician like Ten Hag, I think Bruno will be okay. And that's probably it. You know.
No Rashford?
Rashford's tough.
That one's a tough one.
Rashford's my boy. Like, I'm a huge Rashford fan. I don't think he goes anywhere. I think he's a Mancunian. He's born there. He's academy player.
What about Rafael Varane? Do you think
Rafa stays?
You think he should stay?
I think Rafa stays. Lindelof.
You want Lindelof to stay?
I would keep Lindelof.
Lindelof over Maguire?
Yeah, Maguire.
That's. I just wanted you to get to Maguire. I just want you to tell me.
You just love talking shit about Maguire.
Harry Maguire.
Dude, Harry Maguire is trying to become my favorite player in the Premier League. Only because he's not on the Chelsea. Yeah. If he was on Chelsea, I'd hate him just as much as you guys do.
Yeah,
but it's hilarious to watch.
Harry Maguire, he's not it. Like, he's not a captain.
I agree.
Is he even a top? Is he even a top league player?
No.
I don't think so either.
No, but I mean, top league player. I mean, because you have teams like City and Liverpool who kind of just.
No, I'm just talking about
22 between them will take up the top 22 in the league.
Yeah,
And in what side does Harry Maguire, not playing for Manchester United, what starting 11 does he get into?
In like outside the top 6
in the Premier League.
Oh, in the Premier League in general. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
There's some teams that he would. I mean, definitely the bottom half of the league. Out of the top 6, out of the big 6 clubs, I'm thinking maybe Tottenham.
No.
Outside of them, I don't think. City, he won't break the squad. Chelsea, he won't. Liverpool, he won't.
I don't even know if he starts for Arsenal.
That's what I was gonna. That's the next one I was gonna
Ham.
say. Arsenal, because they have Ben White there. West Ham, I don't know. I think the bottom half of the league would definitely like to have him because he did still play well at Leicester. Because he's.
But that was 2015.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he's like
I'm
not saying he's like a top tier center back, but he's still a solid player. He's still. The thing is I think they give him a lot of the blame, especially at United, given the system that they're playing with, and then the way that Ralph Rangnick likes to. Because how are you going to play with a high line with a guy like Harry Maguire?
Right. So, I think Manchester's ranked on like 4th or 5th highest line in the Premier League.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's also zero protection in front of him. If you think about all the Liverpool has Firmino or Thiago. The City has Gundogan. They all have holding midfielders in front of them that protect them. Who does Manchester United have?
Yeah,
Fred?
McFred.
McTominay? Yeah, it's just that's also, I think also that has a lot to do with it. I think Harry Maguire, yeah, he did have a terrible year, but I mean, who on Manchester United's defense didn't, right?
Yeah, anywhere across the back line.
Yeah, exactly. They all play. I mean, even Luke Shaw, who was, the player of the year, 2 seasons ago, he's had a bad year. Even he looks like he's a scrub that doesn't even belong in the Premier League too. So Maguire, I feel like Maguire can stay because, I mean, at the end of the day, they still need a squad. They still need some type of experience, especially in the back. And if him and Varane can get on the same page, the thing is that we haven't even seen them play together all that much.
I think Maguire and Varane are kind of the same type of player, where they're very passive. Varane had a lot of success with Real Madrid because Sergio Ramos was right next to dog.
Him. Yeah,
he had like that dog mentality, and Varane was kind of like, I'll just kind of clean everything up, stay in my position.
So it's like they're playing with 2 last mans and no stopper.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, who has that dog mentality right now out of those center backs, out of Lindelof and Phil Jones, like
Eric Bailly? But
he never got his chance.
No, he's just made out of glass.
And then he's always hurt.
He's always hurt. I think Bailly is probably the best center back that we have on the roster, by far.
You think so? Even better than Varane?
By far, Eric Bailly is the best center back on the roster. He just can't stay fit.
Yeah,
he's always hurt.
Would you guys be satisfied with Antonio Rudiger?
I'd want Rudiger. I'd sign him in.
I sign Rudiger. When he talks about that dog mentality, I mean, Rudiger has that dog mentality.
Chelsea's really screwed right now with all their limitations.
Yeah,
losing Rudiger.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get into you a little bit later. But okay, so your 5 players. Who'd you pick? You picked De Gea.
I'd keep Ronaldo. I'd keep
Lindelof.
I'd keep Bruno.
And
Sancho.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. The thing with Rashford, dude, is like I don't know what's going on with him. I mean, do you let him go and then because I mean everybody at Man U had a down season. There's not one player you can pick out and say, oh, they were great, other than De Gea. But even De Gea started off slow this year. I do agree that we keep De Gea, Rafael, Ronaldo. I don't know, man. The thing is, too, is I don't know even if they were to let Ronaldo go, where would he go? PSG.
But what striker do we have?
That's where I think
Mason Greenwood's in prison.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask what's the status of Mason Greenwood?
I think he's out. I think
he's about done. I think Mason Greenwood's about done.
I think he's out of jail, but he's not part of the club.
You want to give everybody a backstory of what happened to Mason Greenwood, or you don't want to touch that?
Don't hit your girlfriend.
Yeah, dude, that sucked, dude, and especially there was videos and overall toxic relationship with that dude. Yeah. It's just insane. So, and to be so young too.
Yeah, I mean, I was very high on Mason Greenwood, saying he's the number 9. He's the next Ronaldo.
Ollie said he was the best finisher on the team.
Yeah, so it's just unfortunate his situation, and he kind of left the club at with him. Maybe he brings another 15, 20 goals.
Another one, yeah.
This season maybe we're that's another 10 points. Maybe we're already in 4th place, or
that's where Eric Ten Hag comes in and he makes Rashford an out-and-out striker, because that's how he started his career at Man U, right? He was a striker, and then they moved him out to the wing.
He was always a left winger, and then he would play through the middle when he needed to. But if you watch Rashford play through the middle, he always drifts out to the left.
He always ends up going out wide.
That's where he feels the most comfortable.
Interesting. I mean, I do see Ronaldo staying for at least another year, kind of just to see this contract out, because I don't think anybody else is going to want to sign him. Maybe PSG if they end up losing Mbappe, but then I also don't see that happening this year. I think Mbappe stays for another year at least. I do think that Bruno Fernandes should stay. Sancho should stay. I do agree with that. Oh man, it's just like that club needs a whole revamp.
Well, look at all the players that are already gone. The ones that are out of contract, right? Pogba's gone.
Yeah.
Juan Mata's gone.
Cavani's out.
Matic is already out.
Matic is out.
So that's 4. Phil Jones is out of contract.
Yeah.
So that's 5.
I feel like he's been on that contract forever, man.
So 5 of those guys, maybe you Jesse Lingard, that's 6, right?
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah,
Jesse Lingard's out of contract.
Mm-hmm.
So is he still on loan? He's on loan, right?
No, he's back.
Anthony Marshall's on loan, but he's out
on
of
loan.
contract.
He's out of contract too.
He'll be out of contract. So that's 7 players gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many guys are we really going to sell? We're cutting all this dead wood. How many guys are we going to sell, or who would we sell?
Well, I think Marshall's still on contract, so I think that's another guy that they might be able to sell. Fred, they might be able to sell. I don't know who's going to go ahead and pick up on him, because I mean, outside of those, the guys that you just mentioned right now, I mean, who is valuable enough for another team's going to go out there and try to look for him?
Right.
Maybe Pogba.
Well, Pogba's going out for free anyways. Yeah.
Pogba's going for free.
So, I mean, because the Glazers had already told Ten Hag that he's getting about like 200 million pounds.
200. Mm-hmm.
So, which, I mean, that can get you a handful of players, but you're not. But the thing is I don't think they're going to be able to sign any superstar players anytime soon.
But I think that's where the club's gone wrong. You're looking at the 50, 70 million pound player all the time.
Right. Yeah.
When United's been at its best in 92, 99, they were homegrown players.
Right.
I think they need to. Alanga has, shown spurts of.
I think he could be a good
brilliance.
Yeah.
Hannibal's kind of cracking the first team. Ethan Laird,
that's
probably. Zidane. The kid is named
Zidane.
Yeah. There's a bunch of players. If you look at Chelsea, the way that they're set up, how many academy products do they have right now? Mason Mount, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mason Mount. They have
Reece James.
Billy
Gilmore.
Christensen.
Yeah, it's a lot of guys.
When Barcelona was the best team in the world, 2010.
Yeah,
La Masia, all of those guys
were homegrown
players. Yeah. You would consider Messi a homegrown player because he was there since like 12 years old, right?
Yeah.
So Iniesta, Xavi, all those guys, Puyol, you have to have the right structure in place, and that's where United has failed in the last 10 years.
Well, if you think about United too, right now they have a good handful of players who are out on loan. So like a guy like Brian Williams, who's another right back. I forgot his first name, but that kid Chong. I mean,
Taith Chong.
Yeah. So he's another one that can. I mean, he plays that number 10 role too. So there's guys that they can bring back and that they could possibly build around. Do you think that's the route they should probably take? I mean, just clean house from the top, start from the bottom up, and then just bite the bullet.
Cut the dead wood. Bring in some of these academy kids. Bring the guys on loan. Amad Diallo is also on loan too.
Yeah, it's another one.
And bring these young, hungry guys, the guys that are going to get stuck in, play for the badge. Like Hannibal was a perfect example. It took... He played the last 10 minutes of the game. So the 80th minute for somebody to get stuck into a tackle. He got 3 tackles. He got a yellow card. And
he almost got sent off.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
But how many players, like former players, were so proud of him for, actually caring about the club?
Yeah.
That's the type of mentality I think Ten Hag will bring with these young, hungry players. If we can sign younger players where they're not on their last contract like Ronaldo.
Yeah.
They're on their first contract.
And then you already have, I mean, you sprinkle in some experience already that's there with Bruno Fernandes up front. And then you have Varane and Maguire. I mean, say if Maguire ends up staying, there's another one. And Sancho too. I mean, he's kind of young, but he's already, he's not just a superstar, but he's a solid player.
And I think Sancho will develop well under Ten Hag.
Yeah, I think so.
With the right coach. You'll see him shine. You'll see Borussia Dortmund, Sancho for sure.
So do you think Ten Hag maybe goes to the board and just says, "Hey, we're more than likely going to finish outside the top 4 next season, but we're bringing everybody up. Like we're starting off all youth academy players. We'll make a handful of signings. Maybe they can sign a holding midfielder, a young one for like 20 million pounds or something like that. Start another center back, maybe another young striker." And then kind of just at least have a solid squad there.
Yeah, I think he needs 6 signings.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to say he wants 6.
Yeah.
Because if you look back, Van Gaal said I want 5, he got 4.
Yeah.
Mourinho said I want 5, he got 4. You know,
Ralf Rangnick said they need 10.
Well, yeah. I don't think 10 signings, but I think maybe mixed in with academy kids, you know, or recalling these guys on loan. But you do need 10 players.
Now the topic of Ralf Rangnick, do you think the club has gotten better or worse since he's arrived?
As far as performances,
Yeah.
I think the performances have been stagnant since Ole left.
Yeah.
What I do like about Rangnick is his honesty about the club.
Yeah.
He's bringing a lot of light to the how the club is being ran. And this guy, I mean, he's a genius when it comes to tactics.
Yeah.
And if he can't get these players to play, they need to go. You know. And he's been in close contact. It was his suggestion for Erik ten Hag to have an interview.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like showing Ten Hag, look, this is what you got. This guy's a prick, you know, he doesn't work hard. This guy works really hard, but he's not very good, like Alex Telles or
Scott McTominay.
Right,
Yeah.
you know, he works hard, but he just doesn't have it. Dalot, the same, you know, he works hard. But then you got guys like Maguire, he's a prick, you know, he doesn't work hard, you know.
Yeah.
Maguire and Ronaldo don't even talk to each other. Like, and that's a big problem. Rashford is in a slump, you know, he just doesn't have it.
So do you think maybe the biggest thing in the club right now, and especially in the locker room, do you think it has a lot to do with egos there?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, like when you think about Fergie, he's like nobody had a bigger ego than Fergie.
Right.
You know, he was not afraid to bench Roy Keane or bench Eric Cantona.
Yeah.
You know,
or kick David Beckham in the face.
Right. You know, he threw blow dryers at these guys.
Yeah.
You know, no one player was bigger than the manager.
Right.
You try to.
Hey, Maguire is on his players. He's throwing heads at his own players. He's throwing feet at his own players.
This guy just loves Maguire, man. Is that who you're gonna go after today? Just Maguire?
No, I'm not going after Maguire. That dude's my favorite player on United right now. Chelsea play United next Thursday, dude. I'm excited.
Dude, what if he captains England and then they go on to win the World Cup and he lifts the World Cup?
Well, see, and that's
if he captains England, U.S. is going to beat England.
It's going to feed his big head even more.
And they come back to United.
The interview he had like 2 days ago, he said, "Why am I starting under both managers if I was so terrible?" Yeah. It's like, dude, you have to take some sort of accountability for these results. Like, his ego is huge.
We can send Harry Maguire 25 TikToks.
Do you think it was just the price tag that Leicester sold him for?
There's another Ed Woodward fumble, right?
Yeah.
Because the year before, Jose Mourinho wanted Harry Maguire. His price tag was $60 million. The following year, Mourinho gets sacked. Ole needs a defender. They sign Harry Maguire for what, $85
million, yeah.
And it's like, why are we spending $25 million more?
Right.
When Mourinho identified him last year, and he would have, you know, I think that's where Woodward, you know, fumbled again.
Oh no, for sure. Going into the summer, who would you like to see as the big time signing? Like if Manchester United were to make one signing, at least of one big superstar, who would you want it to be? Not necessarily like a big superstar, but a good, solid player. Like one that's going to make headlines.
I would want Ruben Neves from Wolverhampton. I've been pretty high on that guy.
Yeah. Central midfielder, brings the ball forward.
He could, we definitely need a ball-playing center back. Maybe even De Ligt from Juventus.
That would be awesome.
Right? Yeah. We need a striker. I hate Harry Kane, but he'd get you goals, right?
Yeah.
I don't see us getting Haaland. I think his deal with Man City is it's about complete, and then he has the same agent as Pogba.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to deal with that guy. You know, once Pogba's gone, then you know we should be okay. I would say those type of players, and then you got to bring in young, hungry guys. There's a young kid, Tuabachi. I can't pronounce his name. But he's another center midfielder that we could look at.
Well, that's interesting. I think one big signing I think they need to make, and it needs to probably happen like this next season, it's Dinkin Rice. Yeah, the holding midfielder from West Ham.
But see, $100 million on one player, that's where we get in trouble. That's going to be
big money. Yeah, that's true.
Where you could get Ruben Neves, who's also Premier League proven.
For maybe like 60 million.
60, 70 million.
Yeah, that's true. That can be another one. I mean, he can come in and kind of solidify. I mean, he's going to produce more than what Fred or Matic or whatever are producing. Mm-hmm. Because Ten Hag, he likes playing with the holding midfielder. Like right now, he has Edson Alvarez,
right?
Who can be another one.
Bring Edson Alvarez with you. You could bring in Tadic with you. I think Tadic would be a good signing for Ten Hag because right now Tadic he's like in charge of fitness at Ajax and making sure, kind of like the Ronaldo when Ronaldo came and everybody's diet changed when Ronaldo came. That's kind of
it changed for like 2 weeks and then and everybody went back.
I think that Tadic would be a good signing, kind of more veteran, leadership as well for the young kids. But yeah, I think Edson Alvarez as well.
Yeah, I think if they do, I don't think necessarily that they have to go all the way invested into the youth, but I think they need to bring in guys who can bridge that gap between being young and then being a good veteran, because they have Ronaldo, they have Cavani, they have guys, even De Gea, you can put them up there, who have been doing it for a good while. But then the thing is that I don't feel like they have anybody who bridges that gap between the young guys and then the older guys. Right. Because that younger generation, like Pogba's generation, Lingard, I feel like has been a teenager for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Like it's in
28-year-old
he still looks like
it, he's like 28, 29 making TikToks and shit. Like, dude, grow up after a while, right?
Hey, Tom Brady makes TikToks.
But then a guy like Rashford too, who never developed, who looked like he was on his way up and then just fizzled out.
Yeah, you have to remember that Rashford's had like 4 managers.
It's another thing, yeah.
So I think Rashford, and he's only 24 years old. Yeah. So he still does have improving. I think if he does decide to stay and not leave, they're talking PSG maybe. Mm-hmm. If he decides to stay, I think Ten Hag will bring the best out of Rashford.
I think so too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But we'll see what happens. I think. How long do you think before Manchester United actually gets up to that competing level, where they're competing with Chelsea, Liverpool, and City?
I think it has to be a 3-year plan.
Yeah.
I think 2 years to kind of see progress. Mm-hmm. The third year is where you have to expect a trophy, FA Cup or EFL Cup,
something.
Yeah, something. And that's how long it took Jurgen Klopp.
Just about right
with Liverpool. Mm-hmm. And they brought in the right players. He brought in the players that he wanted, and that's what United needs to do, is identify the right players. It doesn't have to be commercialized. Mm-hmm. If it's some no-name kid from Argentina, bring him in. If he's gonna run for the shirt, bring him in if he's the right type of player. Versus like an Alexis Sanchez. He was all about himself, and only scored 4 goals the whole time he was there.
That was a disaster,
right? Yeah. How many disasters in the last 10 years have we had?
A lot. Yeah, a lot. Because, I mean, if you go back, the Glazers bought the club. It was like, what, early 2000s, right?
It
was like
2012.
Let me look it up. What year? 2003.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. So it was a lot sooner. So they bought him in 2003. So I remember reading that the way they bought it was like a hostile takeover, where they were pulling out shares, but they were pulling out those shares all financed by the bank. So they were pulling out loans, but they were using the club as collateral.
Right.
So I guess they had built up all this interest. It was like $80 million of interest or $60 million of interest per year. So a lot of speculations out there, like all that money that they got from selling Ronaldo, all that money went to buying Valencia, and then the rest went into interest. Mm-hmm. And then that's why you didn't see a big time signing up until they signed Di Maria, right? And that was 2015 when they signed him.
That was a panic buy.
And a panic buy too. So they never had any structure when it came to recruiting. The director of football, like you said, was a finance guy. Mm-hmm. now that they got Darren Fletcher in there, maybe that'll change things up.
Even Ralph Ragnick admitted the other day he doesn't know what Fletcher's job is.
Fletcher just comes into the building.
Why is your director of football on the touchline every weekend?
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, and those are the things. It's like the Glazers were giving guys jobs just because, because Fletcher obviously knows more football than Joe Glazer, right?
Yeah.
But, what does he really know?
But does Fletcher really qualify for something like that?
Exactly. So if maybe the rumors now are Fletcher is gone at the end of the season and Ralph Ragnick takes over as director of football.
Yeah.
With John Morto, I think that's how you pronounce his name, which he also has had a hand in some fumbles.
Yeah.
So I think Ralph Ragnick, Eric Ten Hag, and Paul Mitchell, if those three guys get together, even if we don't get Paul Mitchell, but just having Ralph maybe head of recruiting, we'll do better.
How soon would you like to see some progress? At the very least with the playing style.
Boxing Day next year?
Because they have a shorter summer this year, and then they got to cut the season a little bit short, like midway point. How soon do you want to see that progress?
Well, having a full preseason, I think the timing was great for announcing Ten Hag. Could have been a publicity stunt since we just got smacked by Liverpool, but I think the timing is right because he's got 4 games left.
Yeah,
we only have a few games left, and so I think a full preseason. Then he already knows, like he's been in contact with Ralph, and the team, and showing that some guys can't play the style that he wants to play. So I think next year, at least if we see an identity, maybe not the results, but saying there's football with purpose, this is the way that we're going to play. I think next year we should see some sort of improvement.
So you don't want to see the performances like on Tuesday against Liverpool?
Definitely not. I mean, 9-0 this year against Liverpool.
Yeah.
It's tough, man.
What'd you think about the game?
It was hard. It
was hard to watch.
Honestly, turned it off after the 4th goal. There's just no energy.
Unsubscribed from Peacock.
Yeah. No energy, no passion. You know what I mean? It almost seemed like these players are just ready to go on holiday. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Hopefully he's able to go and turn things around. I think maybe by like September, October, I think that's when I think we should see at least a little bit different mentality out of the players, right. Whoever ones are left and whatever new signings he brings in.
You just need, you need your players to run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
At the very least.
Like,
right.
If you look at Simeone, right? Cholo Simeone at Atletico, he's in charge. You know what to expect from his players. His players are going to run until their legs fall off.
Right.
Jurgen Klopp's players are going to run until their legs fall off. Pep Guardiola's players are going to pass you until you fall asleep, right? You know what you're going to expect. Right. Even Thomas Tuchel, they're going to press you. Yeah. They're going to get stuck in, What do we expect with Manchester United?
Harry Maguire to fumble.
Exactly. It's gonna, it's what United are we gonna get? There's no identity.
Him and Phil Jones together in the back playing a high line. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, out of position, no communication. Exactly. It's terrible.
Let's get into some of the transfers this year. Like the one you brought up earlier, Holland to City. That seems to be about official, right?
Yeah, it's probably unfair too. You know what I mean? Like,
you think Pep is over there playing FIFA over at beginner mode?
Do you think Man City needs Holland? They've been playing with no striker all year
and scoring goals like crazy.
You could put Gundogan as a number 9, Phil Foden. You know what I mean?
Still score goals.
They don't have the best goal differential though. Liverpool does.
You could put Ederson at the number 9, and they're gonna score.
He at least get a header in, right? At least some type of corner kick. That one's gonna be crazy. And then you hear about like the alleged wage that they agreed on £600,000 per week. That was a contract that they agreed on. So I mean, at this point, said he's got a bottomless pit when it comes to money. Chelsea's on the other hand, though. I mean, Chelsea, it looks like they're going to be struggling. Lukaku looks like he's on his way out. Rudiger and Jorginho too. Jorginho says he wants out. Well, I don't think Jorginho explicitly came out and said that he wants out, but it looks like he wants to go back to Italy.
That's fine.
You cool with that?
my roller coaster trip with Jorginho is I hated him. Then with Tuchel, I loved him, and now he can't. He's hardly making the team right now. It's kind of a coin flip right now. Who's starting at the midfield?
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna bat an eyelash over that. Rudiger's gonna that's the one that's gonna hurt because he has grown so much since we got Thiago Silva. Like Silva has like taken him under his wing and really shown him how to be like an elite center back in Europe, and we're gonna lose him just because we don't have an owner.
But who? You guys have that one kid, the academy kid that came in when Chilwell was hurt.
Trevor Chalobah.
Yeah, this guy is good.
Yeah, he's good.
You know, and that's the thing with Chelsea is how many players do they have out on loan? You know, academy players.
They've always done that.
Right? We got a ton of people on loan.
Chelsea probably has the best youth scouting network in the world.
Yeah.
And their U18 team is probably the best in the U18 Premier League. They're insane. They keep these kids together. They have a great scouting network. They keep them till they're 18. Once they turn 18, if they're not ready to crack the first team, they send them out on loan to get better Premier League experience.
So you think even with some of these sanctions on them, do you think Chelsea will still be successful, or do you think
it's gonna be tough?
I think they'll be okay.
Yeah.
Lukaku leaves. Tammy Abrams out on loan with Roma, and he's doing
Michy Batshuayi still on loan too.
He's doing exactly what Lukaku did last year, and they didn't need to put him on loan. They didn't need to.
That's why I was like, I thought it was weird that they signed Lukaku. I explained it to him. It's like Chelsea walking by and they see an ex-girlfriend that was a toxic relationship. They're like, hey, you want to come back? I thought that was weird. And then Mourinho too. That was another signing for Manchester United that didn't work out.
But he won trophies. He won the Europa League. He won the FA Cup. I mean,
no, but I mean when they brought in Lukaku.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
No, Lukaku for me he's a journeyman. He'll always be a journeyman. I think his ego is too big. He's not as good as he thinks he is.
He scored goals like crazy though when he was over at Inter and Everton.
When he was with, he had 1 year one good year at Inter. Everton, he had a 24 goal year, or a 26 goal year once. Yeah,
that's true too. So you just think he's just an overrated guy? Overrated.
Yeah, I don't rate him. His first touch is horrible. He's a big, strong player. Good hold-up striker, but it's not the modern game anymore.
Right.
You need some shifty type player, somebody who's gonna,
someone that can get in behind and yeah. So I mean, well, what do you think with Chelsea? You think they will be okay with, like you said, Tommy Abraham, or with Timo Werner there?
We're not going to be terrible. I mean, the difference between Frank Lampard and Thomas Tuchel is we became an elite defending team, and I think that has a lot to do with Thiago Silva. The two of them, I mean, they were at PSG together. Then the two of them there at Chelsea together. They really hit it off. So I think we'll be okay. I don't think we're going to be a top contender in Europe next year. We have no identity right now of what there's a lot of question marks. We're almost like in the same boat as United. Like, what is next year going to hold for us? Can we even buy players? Are we even going to be able to sell tickets to fans right now? Like, there's so many questions with Chelsea. It's like we have a lot of good players where we can be successful, but they're handcuffed right now. And there's really no answers as to what Chelsea can do.
What did you think about their game against Arsenal?
I didn't even watch it.
So they lost.
I know they lost. This guy texts me. He's like, Andrew left the group chat. It was they're down 2-1. And then, but on
it was an awesome game because it was 2-2 at halftime. I mean, they were going back and forth, and then just out of nowhere, I think there was a mistake in the back for Chelsea. I think Christensen was the one that made a mistake, and then they capitalized on it. And
I'm not the biggest penalty
at the
end.
The
penalty, I don't believe was.
I don't think it was a penalty either.
Saka, he clearly manufactured that penalty.
Right.
So yeah, I think it was harsh. I think VAR got that one wrong.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't think that would have made a difference in the game.
No.
I mean, at the very least, Chelsea maybe created two more chances because it was already the 93rd minute. Yeah. So
Chelsea's. I mean, the season's we're at a point where it's over for us, right? I mean, we've got the FA Cup, and that's really about it. We should be able to hold on to our top 4 spot.
Where are they in the FA Cup?
In the championship against Liverpool.
Oh, okay.
And if you think about Arsenal, didn't have any Europe this year either, so they only had to focus
pretty fresh. Yeah.
On the Premier League.
Yeah.
And that helped them. They have a young team.
Arsenal.
I don't think tactically Arteta is the guy. I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, he doesn't impress me. I mean, the 2 years that he coached and Ole was there, he finished under Ole both years.
That's true.
I think we do have a better squad on paper than Arsenal. I mean, how many players on the Arsenal team would make Manchester's 11?
I mean,
maybe Saka.
Maybe Odegaard. Outside of those guys,
I mean? How many of our 11 would make Arsenal's 11?
Harry Maguire.
And that's not a dig.
Yeah.
But I think Harry Maguire does make Arsenal's 11. I think Bruno, obviously, Ronaldo.
Oh yeah,
Sancho,
Bruno, Ronaldo. The thing is United still got superstars. It's just bringing it all together. That's where I think they're struggling. And then, like you said, I think bottom line comes down to effort, and it's just those players don't care anymore.
Yeah, it's just you can't blame your home pitch,
right?
Thomas Tuchel blaming the pitch.
Yeah, I saw that article.
It must be a German thing because Jurgen Klopp's synonymous
He's like,
for
the grass wasn't cut right. That's what caused.
The wind was blowing too hard, and
get this man some turf. Chelsea season's over. Like I said, the FA Cup's all we got. There's really nothing else for us to really focus on, worry about. We're 5 points clear, Tottenham and Arsenal.
With the game in hand, too. You guys have one less game than they do.
So I think we're fine. Obviously, we're out of Champions League. There's nothing else European. There's no other cups.
Did you hear about Lewis Hamilton and Sarah Williams making a bid on them?
No.
I guess they bid to be owners for Chelsea. I think they both bid $13 million each. That's crazy how cheap that's going, right? To be the owner of a club.
13 million?
Yeah.
That's a lot of millions short.
Yeah.
That's a lot of millions short.
Yeah, so like
we're talking like 950.
Conor McGregor's offer was better than that. I mean, come on.
That's why I was like, I saw that and I was like, God damn, dude, that's.
You guys came at a whopping 26 million.
26 million. That was their bid to try to buy Chelsea.
You're about 2.75 billion short, but no big deal.
Why do you think they did that? Like, do you think it's just because? I mean, obviously they knew that wasn't going to be enough. Right?
You can't even pay the players with that, dude.
It's like this house on foreclosure. I think we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna.
You can't even buy the food for the entire season with that money, dude.
Wow,
that one's crazy. But yeah, I think that's good on the Premier League. Let's move on to the NFL and the one topic that everybody's talking about, Deebo. Did you guys hear about that?
Oh yeah,
requesting the trade. Why do you guys think he?
Well, a couple of different things. My first initial reaction is he's kind of irritated that Jimmy G is still like a thing.
Yeah.
But then the more I thought about it, it's talking about like his diversity on the team. So his ability to play receiver and then to be one of the few receivers in the NFL that can actually line up in the backfield and be a true running back. That means his value is up. That means he should get paid more. Not to mention, he's going to be running between tackles now.
Yeah.
Okay, so this dude's going to get beat up. What is the most common thing that happens with rookies, rookie running, like third-year running backs, right? They want that big contract because that's really all they get. They get one big contract, then their career is just about over.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of where Deebo's at right now. He's like, look, man, all these other receivers are getting paid fat stacks, and I'm better than them.
Yeah.
And I'm also a dual threat. And I threw a touchdown in the playoffs. Like, give me my fucking money.
So that was my initial thought, too, because I thought, oh, well, he's looking at what Devontae and Tyreek Hill did, and he's like, well, I'm better than those two guys, which arguably maybe just because of the dual threat stuff. But if you're gonna be an out wide receiver, then you would pick the other two guys, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So that was my initial thought too, where he's like, maybe he's thinking he's better than them and he wants to get paid more. But I guess it turns out that he had requested the trade 2 weeks ago, and I guess it turns out that he's the one that halted the negotiations. So I don't know if like the Niners gave him an initial offer and he said, "Shit, that's not enough. I'm not talking to you guys anymore."
That's what I heard was that they lowballed him.
Yeah.
And they lowballed Buckner. They lowballed Kittle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the 49ers
they
negotiating
play hardball. Yeah,
tactic,
they play hardball.
which they should. You know, you should go with the low offer at first and then counter.
Right.
You know,
that's what the Patriots do, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and this is only the third trade request under this 49ers regime.
Yeah.
I think it was Robbie Gould and then Raheem Mostert.
Yeah.
That also asked for a trade request. With Deebo, I think prior to him becoming a running back or this hybrid wide back, like he likes to call it, he had 12 drops, you know, out wide.
Yeah.
And that's when Shanahan said, you know, when you get the ball in your hands, nobody can take you down. So let's just put the ball in your hands.
Right.
Was last year, and he had yards after catch. He was like at 12 yards after catch, 13.
Yeah.
Half of those were like little pitches to him.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. He's super deadly with the ball in his hands. But then it came out that Tom Pelissero came out and said that the one of the reasons was that Deebo didn't want to be taking handoffs in the backfield anymore. So like that changes. I mean, that kind of changes everything because that's what in turn made him more valuable, right? Was like because obviously Devontae and Tyreek Hill are better wide receivers than him. But you could argue that Deebo might be the better football player, right? Like the hard-nosed football player. So that's what made him a little bit more valuable than those guys. And so now a lot of it has to do with him not wanting to take handoffs from the backfield. So then like, okay, so a team that you're going to go to, you're going to tell them, no, I don't want to do that. You know, like that was the whole reason I left San Francisco. But it's like, that's the reason you're trying to get paid too.
Does him losing his offensive coordinator have a lot to do with this? The person that's setting everything up for him is gone?
I don't think so. Because there was another Tom Pelissero said also too. I guess a lot of it has to do with him not wanting to live in California anymore. Like I don't know, like I don't know if like things were trying to take like a political turn there with like the amount of taxes that he has to pay in California. Because then he's from Charlotte, North Carolina, or South Carolina. So I don't know if he wants to go back over there or he wants to be closer to home. Like that's his whole deal.
He's like 24, right?
And he's super young, you know. But then he also maybe he does see how much those receivers are getting paid, and he legit thinks he's a better receiver, even without taking handoffs off of the backfield.
Yeah, I heard the same thing, that he didn't want to have take the handoffs anymore.
Yeah.
But on his website, he's selling wide back merch.
And then he's still trying to capitalize on
that
it.
hustle.
So what is it? You don't want to, or you want to? You know. And that was one of the reasons why Robbie Gould requested a trade, was because he didn't want to live in California or in the Bay Area. You know, so
I can understand a kicker making that decision. You're not getting paid nearly as much.
Yeah.
Your taxes are a little expensive. But I mean, you're Deebo Samuel. You're gonna make good money. I mean, you can afford to pay the taxes to live in California.
Yeah, I mean, and then especially I don't know how much the Niners had initially offered him, but obviously it wasn't enough.
I think it was $19 million.
$19 million a year. Do you think Jimmy taking up $25 million next year? Do you think that has something to do with it? The fact that they were expecting Jimmy maybe to go a little bit sooner than what they're holding on to. Because they were ready to go. They were ready to deal him out. The thing is they had no suitors because Jimmy decided to go get surgery. Yeah, and so no team wants to start off already 2-3 months behind everybody else, right?
$19 million would have put him at the 12th highest paid receiver in the NFL. 12th. That dude is not the 12th best receiver in the NFL. So that's kind of almost like a slap in the face.
So that's maybe that's where he just saw that he's disgruntled already because
not to mention he does more than every single one of those receivers on this list.
Well, I guess someone did a stat where he accounts for 28% of the Niners from scrimmage yards. That's insane. 28% of their offense.
And the 49ers start Trey Lance next year. What is his workload going to be? I think he's thinking about that at the same time.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. This dude's going to be running through tackles like crazy.
He said,
he's going to be getting the ball a lot. And I think that's my initial reaction is the fact that there's still a lot of question marks with the QB in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Deebo is like, that means you're going to put the ball in my hands a lot more.
Right.
That means I'm going to run it a lot more.
Do you think maybe now the Niners are they were starting to panic that maybe Trey Lance isn't what they thought he was going to be? or maybe he's just not as ready as they think he is. And then they were trying to deal Jimmy, things didn't work out with that, and then they try to pay Deebo, but then now he wants to bail because their offer was way too low. What do you think? Do you think do you think the Niners can re-sign him? Do you think that this is fixable for Deebo?
I would assume so, just because of how much success that he has had there, how much success the Niners have had there. But if you don't give him like top tier money, like elite receiver money, and then if you can't get rid of Jimmy G and you're still questioning Trey Lance, I think he's gone. Although I did hear somewhere though that players are getting fined now if they sit out. So it's not like the Le'Veon Bell days where you can just sit out.
Avoid that Le'Veon Bell stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like he's going to get fined. He's going to end up losing a shit ton of money.
Because it would make sense to go ahead and just pay him his money now, give him whatever he wants, because you still have Trey on a rookie deal, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you look at Russell Wilson when he was on his rookie deal, and they were able to put all kinds of superstars around him, and then once he got paid, okay, there you go, there everybody goes. The whole Legion of Boom stuff, right? So, I mean, it would make sense to go ahead just throw all kinds of money at Deebo for now.
I think both parties have a little bit of leverage.
Yeah.
Obviously, Deebo, knows what he brings and knows what his value is. But San Francisco can also franchise tag him for next year.
For the year after. Yeah, that's right.
So I mean, they're starting the negotiations, but negotiate, go back and forth until you make it right. And if you can't, then...
And then if it holds out, it only hurts him, because then you get the whole Le'Veon Bell again. You get what was his name? The running back for the Chargers, not Melvin Ingram, the Melvin Gordon. Same thing, because he held out, got traded, was never the same. Right. So
I don't know. If I'm Deebo, I'm making damn sure that Jimmy G is not making more money than me. I mean, you right? I mean, there's no way in hell.
So somehow, some way, this is all still Jimmy's fault.
Deebo has to also wait for DK Metcalf to get paid.
That's true.
That's
another one.
Like,
they have the same agent.
They have the same agent. DK and Deebo are gonna hold out to see what the other one gets.
Yeah.
I don't want to get paid less than this guy, and I don't want to get paid less than him.
That's true.
AJ Brown is another guy that's looking to get
paid. Also same
agent.
Get paid.
Yeah. Well, they all came out of the same draft, 2018.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's just they're all playing hardball, and it's a business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think both sides know that, and I don't think Deebo's a dumb guy. I think he's smart.
Yeah.
I think he knows what he's doing.
You think it makes sense for him to go to the Jets? Because I guess that's where everybody's
Jets have the most
pretty
picks.
much.
They have the most picks. And then he would be reunited with Saleh.
With Saleh, yeah, and then he goes over to a quarterback that also has that's also a young guy with Zach Wilson. That's definitely another outlet for him. Do you think he goes over there and refuses to play that playing style that made him so valuable in the first place?
I think the only way he goes to the Jets is just for the money.
Yeah,
you're not going to win, dude.
I mean, you're like one game away from the Super Bowl again,
right?
You know what I mean? The 49ers with a couple more pieces. Obviously, the Rams.
I don't even think a couple more. I think just one other piece, and that's your quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, defensively as well. I think you need a couple guys.
Do you think the Niners? I mean, it kind of seems now, personnel wise, like it's almost like they're kind of screwing it up, because they had a shot at both Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. They go with Solomon Thomas. They have a shot at Tom Brady. They stick with Jimmy, and then they draft Trey Lance. And then they had a shot at Aaron Rodgers and still draft Trey Lance. Do you think they're starting to like screw it up? Because if you think about all that capital they gave away for Trey Lance, they could have used that they could have even saved that. They could have signed Tom Brady and then just put pieces around him, just like they did over at Tampa Bay. Do you think you're starting to look at the front office and you're thinking maybe
Lynch? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And they even traded up for Trey.
Yeah, exactly.
So you gave away a draft pick where it could have been.
Where it could have been useful to where like they could have put a weapon around an already established quarterback. Like maybe they could have been the ones who signed Matthew Stafford
right?
Instead of the Rams, and then we'd be having a whole different conversation.
And what did the Rams give up for Stafford? A couple draft picks.
It was like
and their bum ass quarterback.
Yeah, I think it was I think they did give up one first round pick. Let me see what they gave up.
Rams got a steal for him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
yeah,
and it paid
and Jared
out.
Goff, the draft pick, and Jared Goff.
Whatever they gave up, it worked. You know what I mean? It was worth it.
Oh, for sure.
Well, they gave up Jared Goff, a 3rd round pick for 2022, and a 1st round pick for 2023. So
That's,
I mean, pennies on the dollar. I mean, make
really?
it worth it.
Really?
Discount. Yeah, exactly.
That's almost like Amari Cooper getting traded for 5th round pick.
Exactly. Or for a washer machine.
Yeah.
I'll fucking fill up my vending machine after every game.
Right. So I'm starting to look at the Niners front office and thinking like, man, do they really have a handle of what's going on over there? You know, just in the front office, because of some of the personnel decisions that they made. I mean, they traded away DeForest Buckner to sign what was that DN's name, or to draft him. They drafted another DN in the 1st round.
Yeah, it was
or a defensive tackle. It's like Kinlaw, something like that. Yeah.
Kinlaw.
So it's just like you're starting to look at them and it's like, are things really working out? Because the thing is they've had some success. Last year they weren't really successful. They got into the playoffs, they sneaked in, and then kind of just made a little bit of a run. Mm-hmm. And then it almost seemed like every team was scared to play them, because as soon as they came out of the locker room against Dallas, they had already won. I feel like,
right,
just based off their mentality. And then the same thing with Green Bay. They picked out their weakness and was able to exploit it.
And they have Green Bay's number.
Exactly. You know? And then they've beaten Green Bay already 4 times,
mm-hmm.
you know? So and then of course when it came down to for Jimmy to finally make a play in the NFC Championship game, he couldn't do it.
Yeah, he can't do it.
He couldn't do it. And then I don't even think he would have been able to do it in the Super Bowl. Looking at that last drive that Stafford put together, you put Jimmy in that same situation.
No, it wouldn't have happened.
No, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Even having a guy like Deebo, even having a guy like George Kittle, you still have to have a guy who's going to get them the ball, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully Trey turns out to be what everybody hopes he is. But do you see it happening? Do you see?
I think it'll take Trey a year or two. You know, to fully understand his responsibilities. And then because he's not a pocket quarterback,
mm-hmm.
so what schemes is Shanahan gonna draw up for him, or how are they gonna have him move?
Right.
I think it will be great to have him
mm-hmm.
as a running threat with Elijah Mitchell,
mm-hmm.
and if Deebo stays, Deebo, and
mm-hmm.
You have Kittle. And
keep in mind, Shanahan was also the offensive coordinator when RG3 won Rookie of the Year.
Right.
You know, so they could also be something there. But we'll see. I mean, hopefully everything turns out. Maybe Trey is the guy that they think he is. Maybe they do ship out Jimmy. If they do end up shipping out Deebo and they're able to get that capital to draft other receivers, it's not like the thing is in the league today, receivers are almost kind of growing on trees, right? Like there's so many athletes because everybody's refusing to play running back now. Everybody's going to play receiver. Every super talented dude is playing receiver now.
Yep.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anything else you want to add? I think we've gone over an hour. Fill that in pretty fast.
Baseball season's off to a hot start.
Did you enjoy the game over there?
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to another game on Sunday. I'm going to an Angels and Orioles game, but then next week I'm going to another Giants game.
Mm-hmm.
It's baseball season, dude. All my life revolves around baseball right now.
That's it.
Yeah,
baseball
dude.
and softball.
Like dude. Dude, the other night we had 2 games. We put up 46 runs.
46 runs in 2 games.
Yeah, dude, we were on
You
fire.
play too?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Damn, dude, you guys are freaking putting up dingers or what?
I know. Basically, we're about to be rec league champs. Just throwing that out there. I'm gonna be like Lil Dicky. In one of his songs, he talks about he has several rec league MVPs.
Oh yeah,
that's
this guy right here.
Yeah,
the rec league soccer.
Okay.
Anything you want to put in, man?
Shout out to the Portland Sea Dogs.
Okay.
Not winning the game, but winning the fight tonight.
That's all that matters, right? If you're gonna lose, you better win the fight.
Yep.
No, but thanks for coming by, man. This
thanks
was cool.
for having me. It was fun. Hopefully, we'll come again. World Cup is coming up, so.
Oh yeah, we can do this more often. The Champions League is starting to come down to the semis.
Yeah, Champions League final would be cool.
I don't know if you know this, but Nick is a big England fan, so he's got a jersey split right down the middle. U.S. on one side and England on the other side.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
It's gonna be a USA England. It's always USA, but England every other time.
He said it's been coming home for the last 4 years.
But they've been saying that for the past 8 years now. Like
one day it might happen.
We'll see. Not with Harry Maguire the captain.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Drew's favorite player.
Harry Maguire.
All right, for those of you guys watching at home, thanks you guys for all joining us. We'll see you guys all next time. Thanks everybody.
Peace. Bye.